Cutting through the avenues, I'd always find my way to you. Beside the hook, the hammer lies.
Hey guys, it's Joel with the Taproot Therapy Collective podcast, Discover, Heal, Grow. And today I got a little bit of an off-topic thing. I used to write stories and publish stories about, 10 years ago or so. And I had one that floated around for a long time. I didn't even remember that it was still out, and got a message that had been selected for publication about 10 years after it was written. And some of it is sort of based on my first starting social work jobs when I was right out of school. And in hindsight, probably about dissociation also. And so, yeah, I'm going to pimp my story. I'm going to push that, and you should buy the anthology if you like. But I'm going to read something. It's not really like the stuff that I write anymore. So it's kind of interesting for me to revisit some of these. But this was a story that goes into an anthology, and I'm going to read the first 2 chapters on the podcast, and I hope you like it. Thanks.
Weightlessness, no gravity. Were we somewhere in between? I'm a ghost to you, you're a ghost to me. A bird's eye view, San Luis.
Mr. Howell. Hello, Mr. Howell, I say as he turns toward the sound of my voice. There is a thing that tall grass will do when the sun hits directly behind it. When you are at the bottom of a hill like I am now, looking up at the grass in front of the sun, the brightness magnifies the smallest parts until they are all visible. The things that I usually could not see, even from up close, gleam from afar and fill my vision. Each floret, each anther becomes gilded and locust. Hell of a day, young man, Mr. Howell smiles as he starts to ramble. There are Masonic rings on his fingers and grubby Soviet badges on his jacket. It's well cut, but it's dirty and it's sweat bleached. Do you know what kind of day it is? He asks me. Do you know that God is good? I stand still and I watch him, while he enunciates each word semi-clearly, volume and interest shifting up and down oddly on each word. Jesus knows, that's right. You a good man, he beams. Sees I's an old man. Mr. Howell, are you ready to go shop today? I ask him. I'm a traveling man from the east to the west. You a young man, the enraptured rambling continues. Do you know that? He asks me, looking to the wrong place down the hill. He knows, he sees all things. He look at me, and that's right, you know. High noon summer sun illuminates the white marble swirl of cataract over both of his eyes. Mr. Howell sits in his chair on the grass on the hill outside of his apartment. The view is unexpectedly phenomenal in such a bleak part of the city, but it's hot. He can't see it. I often wonder why he comes up here. Do you know if they've closed the store yet, Mr. Howell? I ask. I'm tired. Close the book. Close the gates to heaven and hell, he tells me earnestly. Sweat on his forehead, sweat on mine. The door is closed, but he shall open it unto us, unto you, and to me. More grinning. Mr. Howell, the store with your tab, have they moved the store yet? I try again. The stone lions, they will awake on that day. It's useless. All the rocks and the hills and the trees, too, they will awake when he opens that door. He looks back over to the left of me. You knows that. I knows that. We's good people, you and me is. He tells me confidently. Come on, Mr. Howell, please get in the car. I have to help him to the door. He beams and looks at the pylons of concrete from the highway construction rising from a newly overturned red clay. They slowly inch their way on their inevitable collision course with his island of the city and against his apartment. He surveys all of it, beaming and rambling. The feral dogs by the highway overpass bristle when I pass by, but they don't bark or bother me today. And there's more of them appearing outside of his apartment, where there are a couple ancient shade trees left in the sea of grass and heat. They too are refugees from the progress that our city is making. He surveys all of it, smiling. I wonder what he sees with the cataracts, with the pins, with the blindness. By some miracle, Mr. Howell still lives alone. His apartment is relatively ordered, but the bugs are entrenched. He can't see them. He won't let us treat them. He's lived in the apartment for longer than we will ever know. I don't want to get that injection no more, young man, he tells me. Mr. Howell, you have to get your injection every month, I tell him. That's what keeps you out of the hospital. That's what lets me come see you and take you to the store. He looks dejected. The nurses keep leaving pieces of metal in my body, he scowls. It speaks to me. The metal will talk to you, you know, he says contemplatively while staring to the left of where I am. Metal will do that when it's in your body, he says, squinting earnestly. There is a flat field of red clay and some rubble when we get to the store. Some grass is growing, but it won't grow for long. 8 lanes will blaze above it soon and block out all of the sunlight forever. They will blaze at 80 miles an hour into a future 1,000,000 years away from where this man has shopped for the past 30 years. A concrete and steel tentacle writhes its way across the land. There are concrete plugs on the gas pumps now. 1 second, young man, I'll be right back, Mr. Howell tells me, smiling. Mr. Howell, the store is gone, I tell him. They've torn it down. We have to go put you on the food distribution list. 1 second, young man, I have to get my groceries and I'll be right back, he tells me again. I turn around and look at him closely in the back seat. He sits like he's being pulled by a chariot. His gray hair spills out on all sides of his head like a mane, and his eyes look in different directions and weep. But he beams, and the lining of the back seat of my car is stained and it smells bad. Mr. Howell sits up with his white gloves that he always wears to the store, and he takes his cane with the Masonic cross from across his knees. Mr. Howell, they tore the store down for the highway, I tell him, firmly. Mr. Kim is gone, your tab is gone. His expression doesn't change. We are going to have to bring your groceries out to the house each week instead of taking you shopping. He looks out across the debris and opens his door. 1 second, young man, I'll be right back, he tells me in a reassuring way, and he stands up. I watch him walk up to the gap in the concrete where the door used to be. LED lighting and a door chime were here, but no more. He walks through the clay slowly. It sticks to his polished wingtip boots. He wears a trail through it, where the aisles of the store used to be. He gestures to the air. Here was Vienna sausage. Here was bologna. Here was white bread. Here was American cheese. Here was Mr. Kim with a warning about belatedness and the new monthly tab. Here was the hand of God from heaven, palm print down across the store, back into the pelagia and the iron oxide dust from which we came. He has had the aisles of the store memorized for 2 decades now. Mr. Howell looks in awe when he walks back to the car. He carefully scrapes the layer of mud off of his wingtips onto his cane, and he coils it violently at the woods until it is flecked away into nothing and the cane is clean. His eyes stare off into different directions flatly. God has spoken here, he tells me. God has made a speaking across this place today. I try and go over the grocery store plan with him again. We don't have any more time for a case manager to take him on the highway to a Walmart. There are a few smaller stores left, but even if we didn't have limited time, he probably couldn't learn the layout and the rhythm of a new store. In a world with infinite time, I suppose that he could learn a new store. As impaired as he is, he continues to function independently, master of a world that I can't see. Even so, we just don't have the amount of time he requires to help him live the way that he is used to. One day, not far away, the highway will pass over his apartment as well. It will lead to a new place, away from here, away from bugs, away from a sun-bleached Maker's Mark bottle, from paper peeling off composite board backing of awards from a Masonic lodge that is gone, away from a cracked screen door with a rusted hook, away from scared dogs, away from the hill with the tall grass. It will lead away to a different sort of place. And maybe in that place, he will be the one who's tired and sad, and I will be the one who can talk to God. A place where red clay becomes a horn of plenty, where bologna and American cheese fall from heaven, where people like me are lost and people like Mr. Howell are found. A world where we do not have to choose between a store or a highway or a house for an old man, where sleeping stone lions could awake outside of stadiums in the derelict part of town and sing. A world where hot dogs tell you how to cook them and metal speaks to you from your blood. A place where the tri-colored Jesus from the "Where Will You Spend Eternity" billboard makes eye contact and reaches down to hold us in his arms, love us, and give us peace. A place that is far away.
Were you somewhere in between? Fast asleep, fly and dream. I'm a ghost to you, here it goes to me. A bird's eye view, San Luis.
Ben. The lights in my house are always on. I live in a bad neighborhood in the process of changing into a good one. Things change like neighborhoods and people and stories. That's just the conceit of the joke, though, I think. It's just a trick of the light, carnival sleight of hand, heat on a long highway, a scared old man having a different perspective while still remembering being a child. Everywhere that I have ever lived, when it's just about fall, there's a fat species of brown spider that will spin a large piriform web by my porch light. It's happened in several houses, and this species has an enormous abdomen that is so wide it is almost totally opaque when directly against the sun or porch light. Only the extreme edges will glow bright orange and eclipse-like, where its membrane and insides are thin. And this spider has thick hairs that gleam in porch lights and under the moon's distinct, sharp. Someone told me once that spiders can hear things with their hairs, and I sometimes wonder what the experiment was that taught mankind that spider hairs could hear. The same variety of spider has spun its web again while I'm working. Inside I smell smoke, fairly strong, and I know that I'm not alone. It's comforting, like incense from a silly ritual I partake in occasionally. I've heard that smell is tied to emotional memory closer than any other sense is, and I wonder sometimes what the experiment was that proved our noses were the most reliable way to reach across time. I hear books moving on a desk and feet shuffling and something bumping against a door. Do you think you processed it, your client, who died? Ben's voice is always curt and hurried, just south of frantic, always, even when trying to be comforting or ordering fast food. It never feels congruent with the empathetic and analytical suggestions for self-improvement and his somber philosophizing. You really shouldn't let that sit, he tells me, concerned, from the next room. Ben is running out of time and always wants me to get more therapy. The wounded healer, all past social workers, want to give others the medicine that they needed. His voice skews deeper. He's still out of view in the study, and the potted ivy is back in my kitchen in the sink. He's watered it for me, and after he's moved it from the porch to get the key from beneath it and let himself in. Ben knows my schedule pretty well, knows about when I get off work and what days I'm more likely to stay late at the office. He hasn't forgotten everything just yet. I hear clinking against glass as he comes through the study door into the kitchen. He's looking at me expectantly, put out. I haven't answered him yet. I think so, Ben, I tell him. I realize how tired I am, comparing his reflection, wide-eyed and tipsy, beside me in the glass window. I don't know if that's the kind of thing that happens all at once. I lie. There's a glass for you in the freezer, no ice. I didn't know when you'd be coming home, he tells me. Or if, I think. I left some of my therapy books in the office. Ben points back to my study. I'm taking some of the Penn Warren poems and your Vey book you told me about. He lets me know like it's a favor. It is. It's the first edition. Do you mind? I smile looking at it, my own reflection, and sipping the drink until Ben forgets the question and goes back into the study. I've never gotten a hello or goodbye from Ben that I can remember. He exists in a totally static place of a dim, faint pain and a burning sincerity that he can't really contain. He lets you know that he's glad you are there in an indirect way, and there's never been any pleasantries. There's no need for, hi, my wife went out of town for an evening, so I let myself into your house and took a cigar that my wife can't know about out of your study, and I made a drink or two for myself and left an old-fashioned in your freezer, and I brought over a box of books from my office that I'm cleaning out for forced retirement. It's as if we've been having a conversation about death and age and learning since the time I had 4 bourbons at a church picnic and talked to him about brokenness for an hour, and Ben first took an interest in me. That conversation has just resumed unbroken every time I see the man, and some people have started to blame the dementia for Ben's behavior, but it's new, and the behavior is as old as Ben. Older, maybe. The old-fashioned is good, classic. I dip the tip of my finger into the freezing booze and I run it over the cut on the back of my hand. And it stings and it feels cold and it feels good. And smoke rises horizontally off Ben's cigar straight up until it hits the ceiling. He's rested it on my plate from breakfast carefully. Ben looks nervous that I'm not talking more. Look, at first you want to save people. Everyone does. He pauses. Middle of your life, you realize you can't save them. You just have to let them exist. And Ben sighs and inhales. It's healing for them to just exist with you in an honest way. And he looks at me earnestly. At that point, you start to try and save yourself, and that's where you are now, he smiles in a resigned way. Towards the end of your life, you realize you can't really save yourself either, and he leans back. You just have to let yourself exist. Ben sits up and becomes more animated and excited by his point. Now, Ben pauses, I've seen this, but I can't do that yet. He looks serious. But, he pauses, again, I've seen it in the older people when they're dying. By the time you figure that out, you aren't really getting much out of life anymore, I think. Ben trails off thoughtfully and he reaches for a cigar. And he leans forward on the tips of his feet when he does anything he's excited about, like reaching for a cigar or a drink, or to tell you something you don't want to hear. And he's always possessed with such a bumblingly authentic wisdom. He's always half sage and half child, a wellspring of effervescent and somber joy. I study his face as he leans against the cupboard. He's more handsome than me, even in old age, and I wonder if he aged into it or if he always liked that. He still has a full head of white hair and a clean classic part, and there's a crisply ironed collar, tight and starched across the collar slits of his black shirt. His skin slags slightly and hangs over it about 1/8 of an inch when he turns his head. He looks nervous that I'm still not talking. Look, you got that man a job, Ben continues. He was in touch with his family again, living in an apartment. I realize that I'm crying, and Ben looks down at me like a scared parent. He gets killed walking into work on his first day. That's a victory. I'm sorry, I'm a little tipsy, but you gave him a life, and you have to own that, Ben finishes. A commonly quoted fact about astronomy is that the universe is expanding, but that's not really true. Our universe is nothing more than a giant ball of rules that we can measure, rules like temperature and distance. We say that the universe is expanding because the amount of space that we can measure inside it is increasing. We have no way of knowing what is outside of this ball of rules. It's doubtful that measurements like time and temperature would make much sense there. Ben told me an idea one time that comforts me. He told me that Jesus came from a realm of poetic anarchy into our world of rules and told us to break all of them, that none of them were real. The blind can see, the poor are rich, the most vulnerable rule all creation. Even death was a rule that he broke. Ben, do you want to move outside? It's a nice night, I ask him gently. I'm not supposed to smoke inside, am I? I forgot. Ben looks embarrassed. No, Ben, you're fine. I do it all the time. I gesture to the cigar in my hand. Ah, he says, yeah, it's just a nice night. I wipe my eyes. Outside it smells like summer grass and wet wood, and there's a soft back and forth breeze like the world is breathing. And the stars are bright, so far away from the city. Ben, why did you become a priest? I ask him. Why did you decide not to be? He asks me, and we both laugh at different jokes. Ben thinks for a minute. Everything they say about Jesus is bullshit, Ben tells me. All the stuff about heaven, that's all just wish fulfillment. It's dark, and his hair and collar glow white against the black space of his outline. Jesus never told people they could have all the stuff they want, or that they deserved all of it. He leans back. All we deserve is love. He looks at me for a second across the darkness. It's the other things that Jesus said that nobody talks about, the things nobody wants to hear. Ben pauses a minute and continues quieter. There would be no reason to say things like that unless you came from some kind of other place, far away from outside of all of this. Ben pauses and gestures around in the darkness, presumably. You would have to be able to see the hidden divinity in the world and everything, or you would have to just be crazy. Ben trails off and gazes up at the stars with me. There are 1 million stars and 1 million paths between them, each opening 100 new possibilities and closing 100 more. Like a man walking into work proudly for the first time in 20 years since succumbing to addictions and schizophrenia, or me on a deck buffeted like a little boat by people and forces unwilling or unable to figure out what I did to end up here, or a priest getting forced to retire because of erratic behavior and not knowing what to do anymore. Like beta amyloid plaque building up in the brain and severing synapses that we've come to take for granted will tell us what we should do and who we are and what we've done before. Time slowly accumulates everywhere. It won't stop. No matter what we tell it or ourselves about it, it residually rubs off on all of us, sometimes pleasantly, sometimes endearingly, and sometimes in a bothersome way. Like oil from a cat's ears and chin against a cabinet, or against your leg, small nudges here and there. The vast expanse of time and choices, piling up slowly until we see suddenly that we are so small before its vastness and that we always were. And then simply to exist intentionally becomes the best gift that we can give ourselves or anyone else. Some kind of heaven that no one deserves, that is insane.
I'm a ghost to you, you're a ghost to me, a bird's eye view of San Luis.
Mike. That day I'd been tasked with overseeing the repair of an air conditioner at one of the apartments that we rent through a grant. We provide housing to patients once they are mentally stable and able to manage an apartment. We handle maintenance calls through the grant and maintain apartments in between frequent changing of tenants. I park my car in the only shade that I can find under a Browning mimosa and wait for Mike to arrive. And while I wait, I spray my car for bedbugs with some cans of poison with a purple label. Bedbug infestations are an ongoing risk, but I worry about what kind of chemicals are in the cans. A bedbug infestation in my home is a more clear and present danger than the chemicals that kill them, most veteran social workers have decided. I'm careful not to get any of the poison in the fabric of the car seats in the back seat, or onto the hard plastic that a child can chew. I'm dropping the toys left in the back seat into plastic baggies to dishwash later when I hear a voice behind me. "You sure this is the right unit?" Mike asks. "We haven't ever done service out here before." "Yeah, it's a new lease." "You sure?" he asks again, squinting at the building. "Yeah." A few minutes later, we stand in a brick alcove where Mike is watching a dozen AC units whir with a deafening, dull noise, and we have to raise our voices to talk over it. "You sure this is the right unit?" Mike asks me. "Yeah, the landlord came out here earlier." "You trace the line to the unit, or—" Mike trails off in a breathy whistle. He spins his eyes across the dozen or so condenser fans behind the apartment complex. "Yeah." "I fix it and it ain't the one, then—" Mike's words whistle off again into silence. "If I get it wrong, I still pay," I finish his sentence. "I know. 2 of our apartments are on this one." When one of my patients' ACs goes out, I always call Mike to do the repair. Mike is really polite and timely, just like all the others, but he tells me stories out of the blue when he fixes the unit, and I like that. And the stories always feel like something half-remembered that still troubles him. I have always imagined him as a Vietnam War vet. I don't know if he is. He's never told me that story. "Freon's real high right now." "It's fine. There's a grant that pays for it," I tell him. "It's going to be closer to 300-400. "It's fine, Mike. There's a grant," I repeat. Mike snorts. I don't think that he believes that anyone should readily accept Freon costing $400, but he continues his work. The wires, the glue, and the dye, and the moisture traps, and the copper tubes all come out of his toolbox. And then he squints at each. "Chemical, metal, costs unbelievable what they're doing," Mike tells me. "I don't want to charge it, but it's what they're charging me. I knew a guy who worked up in Huntsville where they make half this stuff, and he told me we got no idea what they got up there. They got stuff that ain't got nothing compared to aluminum oxide. It makes it look like ice cream. Some precursor they dreamed up for military contractor applications." I have no idea what aluminum oxide is. "There's this stuff they got and can burn underwater," Mike continues, while watching a needle on a meter bounce. "Makes its own oxygen," he snorts. "I ask him what happens if this stuff gets loose. He tells me, won't be no Huntsville. It'll be there, but there won't be anyone in it, and carries on the breeze." He whistles and gestures with his hand to something lying flat. Mike looks up at me and lets out a new breathy whistle to indicate some kind of indistinct feeling. This guy saw a plant leak one time in South America from a tower. Mike takes out a brush and rubs some kind of glue against a copper pipe. He didn't understand the 3-hour safety talk. It was in Spanish. He asked a guy what the safety guy was saying in Spanish, and the guy tells him in English, real simple. If you hear one whistle blow, run, because something's about to blow. If he hears 2 whistles, get on car and get a mask on, because something was about to leak. If you hear 3 whistle blow and you're outside, then do whatever, because if you hear that 3 whistle blow, you have about 1 or 2 more minutes to be alive. Mike looks up at a bottle and hooks it to a valve on the AC, and I hear gas hiss. He told me he saw a leak from the tower once, though. Tower's above it all. It's heavy gas that sinks down, Mike indicates by pushing his free hand towards the ground. He said he heard them 3 whistle, and some of the boys in the white hard hat tried to run, and that older one in the yellow red hat just sat on the ground, praying or making a phone call or whatever, and some were laughing and stuff. Kind of weird, he said, watching them die from up there. He saw that stuff catch, too, on base once. It burns clear, a clear fire, like an alcohol fire. He said, ain't no one where the fire was to drive around it. Ain't no one knew. He was on the ground from that one, and you'd see truck driving, and then just start burning up, and then he moves his hands together and then apart, blow under a clear blue sky. People burn up to death all in front of you in fire you can't even see. He makes a pop, expanding motion with his fingers before continuing. His driver said, where's the fire? He said, go that way. The driver said, how you know? And he told him, because I don't see anyone burn up over there yet. And he was surprised he made it out of that one. Mike turns all serious all of a sudden. I can hear my phone buzzing in my pocket, but I ignore it. I never met one person making this stuff want to make it. I never met one person that thought it was good. Everyone making this secret government whatever hates it and what they do. All of them that I ever met. But can't stop, because other so-and-so no one needs to pay bills. Hell, Mike breathes. Maybe one of them things will be the next Freon. I hear metal doors slam together while I'm lost in thought. That's it, Mike tells me. We all done. Mike does great work. The AC unit in that apartment worked great for another 2 weeks until it was destroyed in a fire. The fire was not a clear fire. It was an orange and purple fire with noxious black smoke, and it was set by a patient that had gone off his medication and decided that God was inside the bed that I had bought for him at a Walmart, and he had discontinued his antipsychotic because it stopped him from getting an erection. The fire was bright, and it lit up the sky across the city for one night. I could see the fire from my house, but I didn't know what it was until I clocked into work the next morning. I remember holding my daughter from the chair on my porch and pointing to the pale glow of orange and pink clouds. She drank them up with her infant eyes, smiling.
Fumbling round in the smoke, spending time chasing ghosts. Hold me down, child. Hold me down, child.
So if you would like to hear the rest of the story, feel free to check out that anthology. It's myself and several other authors by Running Wild Press, the Running Wild Novella Anthology Volume 9, Book 1. You can pick it up on Amazon or click the link in the show notes. And I don't really write like that anymore. I actually forgot that story existed. If you want to know how it ends, you have to buy it. But if you want to know a little bit more about how some of the other stories end, I heard that the character based on Ben had passed away in a memory care facility about a year ago. My daughter is now 8 years old. The person based on Mike fixed my air conditioning at my new house and at Taproot, the therapy practice where I work, last month. And the clear fire is still all around us. And I don't know how that story ends, friend, but if you want to check out the book, go ahead. We'll be back to the regular podcast next week. And thank you for indulging me on this brief interlude. Best of luck.